and even those products, when you say use the use of aloe vera, it may not even work for everybody. So the thing
Mm-hmm.
is, it's like it's really just exploring what works for your hair. Some people have to use a lot of product, others people do not. Welcome everybody to DMD, Daughter Mama Dialogue, and today we have another episode, another conversation that we want to speak on today.
Yeah.
But before we get to it, though, make sure you like this video if you like what we're talking about. Subscribe if you like the vibe, and comment, of course, of your thoughts on what we are discussing today. So, okay, so what we're talking about today is all about good hair. In the Black community, that's something I feel like that's something that I've only heard in the Black community, or I don't know. I don't think I don't have a reason to ever hear that from someone else who wasn't Black. But what are your thoughts on what does it mean to you when someone says the term good hair? What is good hair to you?
Well, before I talk about what's good hair, first of all, no, let me answer your question first. Good hair to me is healthy hair. It's growing, that's good hair. But it's going to grow when you take care of it. So, I mean, to me, it's not straight, it's not wavy, it's not, it's healthy hair. And there are plenty of examples, many more examples now that we can see in person and in the media, um,
Mm-hmm.
of healthy hair, whether it's and kinky hair, some of the kinkiest hair you can find, and some of the most beautiful good hair. So that hopefully answers that question. Now, I forgot my next point. Go ahead.
Well, for anyone who doesn't know, when people usually refer to good hair, what is good hair? I think a lot of times they're referring to texture.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so even within the Black community, there is still a level of uh, well, I guess you know how there's a term colorism within our community. Oh, well,
Mm-hmm.
actually, in multiple communities, it's just there's always like where it's always a situation where the Eurocentric features are seen as the best features, basically. And
Mm-hmm.
there's another term called texturism, basically the
Really?
same thing. There is a term like that. I've heard of
Y'all
it.
make up some words, but
There's labels for everything now.
it's so irritating.
Just labels for everything. Um, but yeah, so someone who has looser strands, who they may be considered to have like good hair. That doesn't mean they take care of it. I mean, yeah, if it looks nice, it looks nice, but typically it's because with kinkier hair, people talk about it because it's a little bit more work. They say people think. So I don't know. What do you think about that? You have something that you want to say specifically on that?
Well, I'll say this: what everything you know about so-called good hair comes from what you've learned during your lifetime,
Mm.
from your friends or your peers, maybe my generation and maybe your grandmother's generation. You've heard about our experiences and how we relate to, what good hair is. So me, being, of course, your mother, going another generation back, I just want to share that my grandmother, her generation thought along the lines that good hair was straight hair you could comb through, hair you could manage. They called it good hair, and that used to be offensive. That was offensive to me because,
Mm.
I mean, to me, you know, uh, just studying Black history and Black experiences, um, I've just been, I feel like I've had the opportunity to be exposed to more perspectives on what we've been through and how we've dealt with it.
Yeah.
Um, Goodness, we've had so much influence. by white society going generations back in this country, we weren't even allowed to, we were supposed to cover our hair. We were supposed to cover our hair. And I believe we were, there was some societal control over, not taking pride in our hair.
Yeah.
And I think over the generations, if when you were younger, I always covered my hair. I didn't talk about taking care of it, or anything like that, then what does that do to you growing up as a next generation? You're not really going to really appreciate how to take care of your hair, nurture it.
So are you saying, like you just said, with you not doing it, so how does that affect me?
How would it have affected you if I never, I don't think I was that good in taking care of, you all said, there's so much hair.
How,
oh my gosh.
So wait, stay on topic.
Oh, okay.
So what is your question? Are you saying like...
It's not a question. It's just, I'm attempting to make a statement about, how this idea of good hair has been passed down generation after generation. I think, first of all, there are two influences. The white society influenced this whole idea of, black hair not being good enough to be on display, first of all.
Which is funny because, we're talking about hair, but black features are in. Black traits are in.
But we don't want it to just be in. We just want it to be appreciated, right, because it's...
I'm just saying.
People we are. We want... You know what? Let's say this. I would love for black people to appreciate the features that God blessed us with. Mm-hmm. If we don't appreciate them, then it doesn't matter if someone else doesn't appreciate them. Yeah. If we don't appreciate or know how to care for and nurture the way God made us, I'm getting emotional. It doesn't matter if anyone else does. Mm-hmm. So it's really something it's something that we need to learn how to do for ourselves as individuals, because we're role models for the next generations. And I would dare say we are, I don't want to say role models, but we can also teach older generations. There's a lot that you and your sister have taught me. Mm-hmm. I feel that there are things that, hey, I think I've taught my grandparents something, a little bit, because remember my grandmother saying she hated braids. I was just hurt. Like, why would you hate braids, grandmother? How could you hate braids?
I could guess, but I don't want to guess that.
But I love my grandparents, but go ahead. Did I answer your question?
You talk a lot. It's okay. That's not a bad thing.
Okay.
No. I agree to the point about whenever someone tells me I have good hair, because my hair texture is similar to yours. I say it's similar. It's looser texture.
It's looser.
It's looser texture. Whereas my sisters, I have a good amount of sisters, but the one that I grew up with, her other daughter, mm-hmm. Her hair has a tighter coil, and her hair is also denser than mine. Mm-hmm. So I'm sure it was like a different experience between doing my hair and doing her hair. We both had a lot of hair regardless, but the problem is that at first when people would tell me like you have good hair, I'm like, oh, okay. Like it never really clicked with me. Like it never made sense to me when someone said that, because I'm like, anybody's hair is good hair. And also my hair wasn't always done. Like it would be old style sometimes.
Thanks.
I'm talking about me too. No, I'm saying if it's, my hair gets fuzzy, it don't stay in braids that long, for example. Mm-hmm. It's not really, it's just sometimes convenience and all of that. The whole point is that, that kind of makes a statement like, oh, your hair is better than other people's. And I'm like, that's not true. That's very, it always made me feel uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry, that was a lot.
No, it wasn't. And it gives me more perspective. And I think about when you and your sister, oh my goodness, when I knew that it was the day to do hair, I really had to like prepare my mind
Mm-hmm.
because it literally took an hour and a half each to do your hair. And
I was tender-headed, I know, too.
I just
I
thought
can't sit still.
it was just, you know what, if I knew then what I know now about taking care of hair, the things that I could have used and natural products, that would have just been, it would have been, I feel like the experience in doing my daughter's hair should not have been something that drove us apart. I feel like
You're like, no,
I mean, it was
don't want my hair
devastating
done.
to me when I combed you and your sister's heads, and there was crying, and it was just like, oh my gosh, what do I do? Oh my gosh, like my children don't like me anymore. It was hard washing your hair,
Yeah.
and then then it was like had to wash your hair, and then I decided that after that I would blow dry it because then it would make it a lot easier. And then I would braid it, and by the time that I would finish, I had to take an aspirin. That's just how. But it was just, I love the fact that still you both had beautiful, thick, long hair, and I was just, I don't know, it's not by me, nothing that I've done, but.
What do you mean?
Nothing that I have done.
Oh my gosh, Mom, my hair is similar texture to yours.
Well,
it really is.
I think if it were something that I'd done, my hair would be long, and it's not. It's never
my
been.
hair is.
I used to cut my hair when I was a kid. Like, I guess I thought I had Barbie doll hair or something. I don't know, but in my generation, from the time I was 8 years old, it was thought appropriate that I should get a relaxer so that my hair could be done.
I got a relaxer for that wedding. That's about the time I got that first relaxer.
How old were you though?
It was for one of our cousins'
I should
weddings.
remember this.
One of our cousins' weddings. Giselle and I were flower girls.
I thought you had your hair pressed.
I thought it was relaxed.
No, it was pressed. It was pressed.
I was always relaxed. Well, I didn't get another relaxer until 14? 15, no, it has been like 14 when we moved to Georgia.
Yeah, it was pressed. And even though, I mean, there are beautiful styles with straight hair.
It's great.
I loved when my cousins would braid my hair. I loved it because I just thought it was so beautiful. Although I never could figure out how to take it down. But I just thought I thought it was getting extra special treatment. But growing up, just like my cousins, they're like a little bit older than me. They had no problem with braids. I mean, they're of the generation like when Kent State had, all of the protests, Vietnam and all that.
I don't know. You be saying the Vietnam protests
at Kent State University, Ohio.
Okay.
Anyway, they're of that generation, and since we live not far from Kent State. Anyway, it was just a time of embracing what makes us who we are, Black people of melanin.
I just get kind of, well, there's still so much of the commentary that people say, like, oh, you have good hair, like, and so I always ask, and I don't always want a whole discussion. Sometimes I'm like, okay, sometimes I say thank you, but even then I hesitate to even say thank you because because I know that with that statement there's certain type of connotations, and I just don't like it. And especially like I love the thickness of people with 4C hair, 4B hair, in the 4s, in the 3s. If you have 1s, this is more so lingo for if you wear weave, different types of weave. I think it's maybe not weave. I don't know. I don't be into a lot of stuff like the hair lingo, but the numbers 1 through 4 and
You're so technical.
Usually with each number, it represents the type of hair texture. So the higher the number, like 1, or the lower the number, like 1A, the straighter your hair texture is. The higher the number.
You just see a lot of people. I don't know how many people would even know what you're talking about. When
Yeah,
you say 4C, 4A.
I'm realizing that.
Just talk about the coil.
The whole point, yeah.
So it's tightly coiled hair. You know what it looks like. It's a tight afro.
It's usually like a tight afro, yeah. But the thing is, like, I get mad because then there are advantages and disadvantages to every type of hair texture. And even some people, they have multiple textures in their hair.
Yeah, I think I do.
You probably do. Yeah. And then, like, but it's irritating to me because, you know, for one thing that I always like you mentioned, the braids, is the fact that braids stay longer in the head of someone who has like those tighter coils, whereas my hair, it frizzes up within a couple of weeks, and it's just irritating. I'm like, it just does not stay very easily. You can use some gel, you know, try to figure it out. Like, this is not gonna stay in that long, these braids. But whereas some people keep their braids in like for over a month, maybe 2 months, which I can't even fathom that. Like, I don't.
But that's still as far as good hair. I mean, do you think it makes a difference?
No,
what I'm saying. Have braids in?
No, what I'm saying is the fact that there is an advantage to those who have like coilier hair. Like, they're like certain hairstyles. So my point is like, when people talk about what's good hair, all it is just, you know, they think because it's more manageable when it's looser coils, when really, to some extent, there's certain things I'll have to do to take care of my hair, which is different from like my sister's who has that tighter coil. She has a different hair regimen than I do. And so the fact of, like you said, if you had known like some of what was some techniques that were out there, or I guess,
or products, or
there were probably techniques that were not widely known, but if you had known that, maybe the experience would have been different doing our hair. We were younger, probably. So that's all my point is. It's just that, you know, people say what, you know, like, you have good hair, and I'm just like, not really. I don't do my hair like that. Some people, well, I don't, it's not, I don't know. I just don't accept the compliment very well.
Maybe it helps to ask people, well, what do you mean by good hair?
Yeah, but do you always want to have that conversation?
I do want to have that conversation. Maybe I'm confrontational, but if someone, and I don't hear it often now, but I have had individuals say, oh, you have good hair. What did my hair look like on that day? I don't know. Maybe I combed it back. Maybe I saw some waves in my hair when I combed it back into a ponytail or bun on that particular day. Or maybe if I had come from the hairdresser, it curled well or something. Maybe it was the hairdresser. Maybe it was the beautician who said that while she was washing my hair, and she saw that it curled up. Oh, yeah. That was definitely one of my experiences. But my thought is, you know, my questions, I don't remember if I've always asked that question, but my question is, well, what do you mean, what is good hair? I mean, what do you mean by saying good hair? And then I might follow it up by saying, you know, any hair that's growing and is healthy you should consider that good hair. Do we talk about manageability? Well, manageability can be based on how you treat your hair, how you treat yourself.
Yeah.
What you eat affects your hair, what you drink, how you maintain it. I mean, a lot of us don't know. You know, I would say in the last maybe 10 years, the whole idea of protective styles has just, you know, it's really exploded. You know, but nobody really talked about protective styles.
Did they call it protective styles like back in the 90s, the box braids and all of that? Or it was just a style? It wasn't even
right.
But now they're seeing it as like it's actually helping protect your hair now.
Right. And we're exploring what we are at least seeing maybe a lot of videos and a lot more discussion on the different things, natural products as well as processed, that nurture our hair. Like, I'm just excited about aloe vera, natural aloe vera. It is a natural detangler. I didn't know that. I just learned it.
But sometimes, and even those products, when you say use the use of aloe vera, it may not even work for everybody. So the thing is, it's like, it's really just exploring what works for your hair. Some people have to use a lot of product, others people do not. It also depends on what area, what climate you live in, because different atmospheres, different climates affect your hair as well.
What do you use for your hair?
I don't use like gel most of the time. I hardly ever add edges. I use a little bit here, but I don't even use gel. I started using the aloe vera juice to help with moisturizing my scalp, because I kind of deal with like dry scalp.
Has it helped?
I guess, maybe.
Okay, who gave you that idea?
Okay.
Aloe vera. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. But like, I use that. Another technique that I've been using that has been helpful is I kind of detangle my hair first with conditioner before I jump in the shower to wash my hair, and then I kind of like braid the ends of it, like do in 2-strand twists, so that when I actually shampoo my hair, my scalp, I can focus in on that. And the shampoo will kind of go through your scalp and it'll run down your hair, but your strands, your ends will still be moisturized. And I found that to be amazing. But and then I still deep condition and all of that. So yeah, that's probably the main thing. And then I use leave-in conditioner just on days where on wash days, but also regular days. And I use oil too, like olive oil and coconut oil. Those are typically the two that I use. But before you talk about what you use, one of the things that irritated me about when people talked about if I had good hair or not, it will usually be an offhand comment, be like, "Oh, she got that good hair," but it'll be like that flippant comment. That's kind of like, it's not an insult, but it's kind of like people say that when they feel some type of way, when they don't have the same type of hair texture.
Positive or negative?
In a negative way.
Okay.
It's usually like, "Oh, because she got that good hair."
But what came before the statement, "cause she got that good hair"?
Be like, "Oh, she thinks she cute," or something
There
like
you go.
that. So it's usually those type of statements that kind of put me on the defense. So I can understand why you want to start the conversation. I just don't feel like starting it half the time, because then it's just like a thing. But I do too.
Well, I think talking about good hair is similar to experiences I had growing up when I'd go to school and I'm in elementary school and people would stop. "Let me see your eyes." Like,
oh yeah, that's
get out
that's
of my
mad
face.
creepy.
"Let me see your eyes."
People
Look at her eyes.
People basically fetish certain features, and it's
Right.
And I mean, we have similar experiences because we got your eyes and I have your hair, and it's a little bit uncomfortable when your own sibling says, like, when you're talking about managing your hair, they're like, "Oh, you got white people hair."
Okay, unfortunate. That's an unfortunate
Yeah,
perspective.
It's kind of
and it's not, and it's also an example of not being exposed to enough cultures of people around the world.
Yeah.
With a variety of hair. I mean, I was just looking at, I love watching PBS. I just do, Public Broadcasting Service. Anyway. So, and of course I'm a teacher, so yeah, I love that, learning stuff. But, okay, so calm down.
I'm not
I'm watching this show about Australian kids. They're talking about the black community. I'm just gonna call it the black community in Australia. Y'all say Aboriginal.
They're Aboriginal.
They black.
How do you know
They
they're
black. They black.
They just got curly hair.
Curly,
and darker
straight,
skin.
kinky. The whole gamut of the stuff
They're not from Africa though.
So
Are they black really though?
the whole gamut, all the stuff we just bite our nails over. They have all of that here, and not only that. Okay, so I've never been to Australia. I have been to other parts of the world where there are people with darker skin than us. And even in Japan, oh my goodness, there was a lady with kinky hair. I was looking sideways, but
she could have permed her hair.
She could have. No, this was like.
How you know? What?
Kinky. Okay. It's like, yes, and there are some people in Japan who perm their hair to be kinky. So, yeah, you're right. She could have. But, outside of this country, I just think there's a better appreciation for just, it's accepted. Our hair is accepted. More so outside of this country and I think it's because the culture of this country has been shaped so much by white, behavior, the slave owner mentality that just, to just suppress us, just mentally, emotionally. I forgot what I was going to say.
I don't know, because you were talking loud.
Oh, Australia. So I was saying, I've met people from India who have had, very dark-skinned people with bone straight hair. That was one of my eye openers. I was like, what?
There's different types. I mean, it's basically like it's all different types of just textures and features and all that. Like there's no one really fits a stereotype. Like there's a stereotype of your eccentric features, and that's what it should be, but it's I mean there's a wider world and a broader spectrum of differences that we have, and I don't know what I was gonna say with that, but
I just want you to be more specific when you say that.
No, you just mentioned
specific.
No, I'm just saying you just gave this.
Do you have to raise your voice?
You were yelling in my ear.
Sorry. I don't mean to cut you off, but I just want to say I've met Native American people, kinky hair. I've met Indian people, very dark skin, straight hair. I've met Hawaiian people, kinky, straight hair. I've met
the whole point is that they have good hair.
You're right.
The whole point is that they have good hair. And I don't agree with like that everyone accepts it, because I've heard even there was a little girl, a student, in some school in South Africa, but there was apartheid there, so there's that. But she got in trouble because she went to school with her afro, and they were like
recently.
This was within the last couple of years. I forgot when. It was like a year or two ago.
But keep in mind, the system in South Africa called apartheid was similar to, in a lot of ways, to slavery here in the U.S. So keep that in mind. And that's unfortunate that that whole system was allowed to exist for as long as it did. But when it comes to colonialism, it has affected it's affected the whole world. And in some areas, so much more worse than others, so that we are, people of color are just, we are suffering, we're suffering longer. But anyway, we're getting into historical discussion, and this was supposed to be about good hair. But it really is.
What?
It's affected us over history.
Yeah. So it's all interwoven.
Right.
Yeah, this was a very
so summarizing good hair. Just take care of your hair. If you're taking care of your hair, you got good hair.
And stop telling people got good hair. That is not a compliment to
Not a
someone you think is typically has good hair. Like, I feel like most people don't feel like great, or if you do, I mean, maybe there are some people who agree with that, but it's not a compliment. It doesn't feel like a compliment. So that's our take on it.
Well,
but yeah. So again, if you have any thoughts to what we have been talking about today, definitely comment below. We are definitely interested in what you have to say. Like this video and definitely subscribe if you're interested. And we will see you next week. Bye.
Bye.